Hey everybody, let me know if you guys can hear me. Let's see. I think I see the chat here. Let me see if it's working. Give this a couple seconds. Trying to get everything set back up. Again, let me know if you guys can hear me. Let me see. I'm going to try to pull it up, see if I can hear myself. Trying to get all set back up ever since I got back from Spain. So definitely a little jet lagged. Okay, cool. You guys can hear me. That's great. I'm pulling this all up. Perfect. All right, get rid of that. Cool. Appreciate everybody. So let me know where you guys are hailing in from. I know I see Amy there. Amy, hailing from where I grew up, Satellite Beach. How's it going, Amy? We got back from Spain literally hours ago, so I'm so jet lagged. It's one of the reasons I decided to do a live stream. Just don't have the time to edit, and I'm just not even coherent right now. But I've been the whole flight coming back from Spain. I was just nonstop thinking about Tesla, AI, full self-driving. I was watching all of the videos that were out there nonstop, from Chuck to Omar, and just seeing everything that's going on. And I just had so many thoughts, like, I need to get these thoughts out there. And I figure I might as well make a fool of myself with, all you beautiful people. So that's really the impetus of today's video, or this live stream, is just to talk about some things that I've had on my mind. And it may be it sound like crazy, or maybe none of it's coherent, and I'll figure out tomorrow morning with all the comments. But I figured might as well go ahead and just put it out there and see what's going on. This is funny. Let me see if I can remember how to do this. Let's see. Used to be where I could click on it. I won't even worry about it right now. But I had a funny comment here saying, "Poor you, Spain." We got someone from Mississippi. Nice. I love Mobile. We got a St. Pete person here. Hey, Steven. Nice. Love it. All right, cool. So again, this is like impromptu. Literally just put this up about an hour ago. So I don't know how many people are going to jump on, but you guys are here, so that's all that really matters at the end of the day. All right, so I have been talking about some thoughts I had about what would happen with Tesla AI Day in some of my videos. Maybe you guys have seen it, maybe you guys haven't. I make a lot of videos covering, a wide range of things. Sometimes they're engineering focused, sometimes they're AI focused, sometimes they're finance focused. But so maybe you picked up on some of the videos where I talked about this, but I've been making some predictions pretty much since AI Day Part 2 was announced about what I thought may or may not happen during AI Day. And so obviously, when you think about it, the low-hanging fruit for a lot of people, or for most people, would be to state the obvious, right? You would think, okay, AI Day 2, naturally, we would see a lot of the same stuff that we saw in AI Day 1, right? So what was AI Day Part 1? What did it consist of? Well, it started off talking about Dojo, right? If you don't know what Dojo is, and it seems like a lot of people don't really understand what Dojo is. So maybe I'll just talk about that for 2 seconds here. Dojo is a supercomputer that is specifically made to train neural nets. All right, it's not a supercomputer that you would use for anything else. The way it's designed, the way the chips are, the amount of attention they put towards the bandwidth between one node to another, and a node, just consider it as a server. What they're trying to do is essentially have the least amount of travel between the data and what's processing what they're trying to do. All right. So in a traditional architecture, like a 3-tier architecture, you would have, your servers, you would have a networking layer in between, and then you would have your storage, a SAN, a NAS, maybe you have direct attached drives. But what they're doing is they're kind of flipping this upside down. And instead of taking that general approach, which would be something that can be applied to anything, right, to any workloads, it's what you see in public clouds, what you see on premise for many customers. Instead of focusing on that, they're taking one specific niche of focus, which is training neural nets, and that is what Dojo is for. It's all that it's for. It's just the training of the neural nets. And so during AI Day Part 1, right, we got a lot of details on Dojo and how it's coming along, and the fact and when it'll come along, right? And I think what was most notable was that 1 Dojo is not necessary to have FSD better than a human. All right, Elon made that clear. And the way they would know when Dojo would be ready or complete would be whenever at the time, Andre Karpathy's team would say to them, okay, we want to move away from the NVIDIA GPU clusters and go to Dojo. All right, so again, low-hanging fruit would be an update on that. I'm sure we'll get an update on that, but I don't think it's really going to be anything that's going to be too exciting. All right, again, these are just supercomputers that have different parameters, different things that they're focusing on. I mean, essentially just a big computer with very low bandwidth that focuses on linear algebra. That's really all it is. All right, now there are many implications with this, what you could do in the future, right? You could do Dojo as a service, kind of think of AWS, Azure, right? Cloud platforms, but imagine it just very specifically to help other companies train their own neural nets. So there is a potential business there, but I think that this is not even going to be that big part of AI Day Part 2. Okay, so what was the second part of AI Day Part 2 or Part 1? Well, they talked about FSD beta, right? So we had a lot of talk about FSD beta. This is where we really start to talk about vector space, okay? You heard a lot from Karpathy about the vector space, what they're trying to do. And again, if you don't understand a lot of what's going on with this, essentially there's something called heuristics. And heuristics are think of like coding, original coding. All right, so where you have different languages like Go, Python, C, C++, Ruby, right? You have all these different coding languages, which is a human saying, do this, right? You'll have, different statements, and I'm trying to simplify it, but essentially it's me giving commands using letters and numbers on the keyboard and writing up this recipe for something to happen, right? So that's what heuristics are. And a lot of the FSD code was based off heuristics. Now, over time, right, they've been moving towards neural nets. And neural nets essentially get away from that. Neural nets essentially say, give me a certain amount of inputs, in our case, it would be images, and then label those images and tell me what's right or wrong. And then the neural nets will essentially apply different weights to determine what the right thing to do is. All right, so we're moving away from heuristics, again, human coding, and moving towards neural nets. And a big part of this is that vector space, right? So being able to get away from saying, hey, this is what that is, and have humans make these certain decisions, and hey, if you see a line like this, instead just dumping it all into the neural nets. And now with the vector space, right, one space to rule it all, what the goal has been is to take all the cameras around the vehicle, stitch them all together as if it was one surround view camera. And then you've heard the bag of points comments a lot, right? When they talk about the bag of points, they're just really talking about the pixels, right? So essentially the cameras it's not really a video stream, right? It's just, I keep hitting my mic. It's just a stream of pictures, right, that are being stitched together, and then every single pixel, the neural nets have to determine what is it, right? So this is the bag of points. And so what we're getting to is a place where we can have a unified vector space. So all around us, we understand what's going on with the world, and we can do this at a very, very fast pace. And so going away from just looking at it from a pixel by pixel basis and going into more of a vector space allows them to get rid of a lot of jitter. What's jitter? Okay, jitter is essentially that time lag between when the vehicle wants to do something or makes a decision and doing it, right? So in other words, jitter could be that hesitation, right? Is that car going to turn in my lane? Is it not? Should I go? Should I not go? Is it worth it? Is there risk reward, right? Is it a 60% risky thing, 40% not? Should I stay? Should I just wait for them to go by? All that lag in the vehicle, that's jitter. All right, so by going into a unified vector space, we potentially get rid of a lot of that jitter. By getting into a unified vector space and doing certain things like getting rid of the beautifier that cameras have. Again, remember, our eyes can only see so many colors, right? So cameras are essentially dumbed down for us so that we can see things better. But computers don't need that. Computers don't have those limitations. So you get rid of that and that improves the jitter, right? These are kind of the reasons why I think the hardware we're on right now is sufficient for solving autonomy, at least better than humans, is because there's a lot of things that Tesla can do to improve based on what they currently have, right? A lot of things they can do to get rid of the jitter, and especially moving from heuristics and into neural nets, I think that's also going to allow them to do a lot more with the current install of the hardware. We're already seeing them get a lot back from a memory perspective. They're doing their own compilers. I mean, there's a lot of stuff they're doing. Okay, I don't want this to be a AI Day Part 1 review. And then they went into Humanoid, okay? So they talked about Humanoid, high level. Elon said it was just the organic next step to get into. All right. So, and I see a lot of comments coming in here. So apologies if I'm not looking at them right now. I'm just trying to get through this. And like I said, I'm half awake still from all the jet lag. So I just want to make sure my thoughts are as clear as possible. Okay. So anyways, so yes, it was the next organic move for Tesla. Why? Well, they make their own motors. They make a lot of their own actuators. They are in the battery space, if you haven't noticed. And on top of that, they are working on real-world AI with FSD, right? So the whole notion of computer vision, AI vision, right? So they're already in all of these. So what's the difference between taking a robot that leverages all of that in a four-wheel posture and moving it into a bipedal or a dual leg humanoid, right? It's a very natural, organic move. And I think also partly there's other, I guess, agendas Elon might have in the background. One, it might just be a humanitarian thing in the way of thinking that, okay, well, if AI is one day going to rule the world and can be the demise of us like we see in so many movies and books, well, then Elon and Tesla might as well be the ones to make sure it's done in a benevolent way and make sure that they have some control over it. All right. That may be some thought that Elon has. But the other thought I think as well is, okay, well, how are we going to terraform Mars? How are we going to set things up in Mars first? How can we get there without risking human lives? And I think that's a big part of this as well. And this is why it's so beautiful how SpaceX and Tesla work so well together. If you're not aware, the Tesla doesn't have a materials engineering team. SpaceX doesn't either. In fact, the materials engineering team straddles SpaceX and Tesla, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. You just don't see this from other companies. And Elon's constantly encouraging, if you get bored of cars and you want to go work on rockets, okay, we can accommodate that. Same vice versa. If you get bored of rockets and want to do more things with AI, yeah, we can accommodate that too. So that was AI Day Part 1. So a natural thought process would be AI Day Part 2 would be the same thing. Or we'd get an update on Dojo, we get an update on FSD Beta, we get an update on Humanoid. Okay, I don't think that's what's going to be. I strongly don't think that's what's going to be. Will we hear about Dojo? Yes, of course. Are we going to talk about full self-driving? Yes, of course. Are we going to talk about Optimus? Yes, of course. But I think it's going to be geared more so around a couple things. The first thing I want to talk about, a Robo taxi. I am more confident now than ever, and I have no reason to believe any of this. This is just me looking at tea leaves and connecting some dots. So you guys let me know how crazy you think I am. Let me explain my dot connections. This all started, I believe it was end of last year, it was January. It was during the Q4 earnings call, right? So Q4 of 2021 ended December, obviously, and in January we had the earnings call. And that was the first time we really start to see Elon, Andrew, and Zach all get bullish about FSD Beta in a way we just hadn't seen before. All right. On top of that, they talked about a Robo taxi. Nobody expected this, didn't see that coming, but they did. They talked about the Robo taxi. All right. So that might have been just a one-off. Okay. And then Elon went on the Lex Fridman podcast. Right? If you guys know who Lex Fridman is, MIT engineer, big when it comes to coding, neural nets, AI in general. And on there, Lex asked him, well, when do you think it'll happen? And Elon said the same comment that normally he would be crucified for, in the future. And what was that? Well, when do you think full self-driving will actually be realized? When do you think we'll get there? And contrary to what a lot of people say, Elon did change his terminology for the first time. All right. Every time he has been asked this question, he has always said, probably sometime next year. Probably next year. He's never actually said this year. This was the first time he said that. And that caught my attention immediately. Because, again, saying this year, well, that's a pretty big statement to literally say, I think we're going to solve it this year. Now, granted, it was in January, I believe that interview, maybe it was February. Essentially, you have 12 months to be able to push it yet again. But still, it was a change in word choice. So that caught my attention. Then I fast forward you to Cyber Rodeo. Okay, Cyber Rodeo. Well, that was about the factory when we saw the Cybertruck. And what am I talking about? Well, Elon had a one-liner during his time on stage where he talked about the Robo taxi. Not only did he talk about it, but he also said that it's going to be very futuristic looking. And my mind immediately, I remember, I stopped. I looked at my fiance at the time, my wife now, and because we were sitting there, we're drinking wine on the couch watching this, and I said to her, that is interesting word choice. That's word choice of, we already have it designed. We already know what we're going to do. And why else would he be bringing it up all of a sudden during this event? Maybe Elon had one too many drinks in the back and he's just, loose slipping it. Who knows? But I'll remind you, Giga China has a design team that we have yet to see anything out of. They hired this team, I think about 2 years ago, where they started the process, and we have yet to actually see anything come from them. And if you haven't noticed yet, a lot of the amazing design, vehicle-wise, aesthetically, has actually been coming out of China, whether it's Xpeng, whether it's Neo. There's a lot of really good design coming out of there. So, okay, maybe that's not something, maybe it is, but just keep following me through this thread. All right, so after Cyber Rodeo, here we go to yet another earnings call. This time it was the Q1 2022 earnings call. Again, Elon, Zach, Drew, they all reiterate their thoughts on FSD beta being ready this year. On top of that, Elon yet again mentioned the Robo taxi. All right, let's fast forward some more. Next thing you know, Elon Musk announces AI Day Part 2 is going to happen in August. It's not that long later that we find out AI Day Part 2 is getting pushed. Now, initially, Elon had mentioned, well, we think we will have a better prototype for Optimus for the Humanoid. And I thought that was obviously what it was. They just want to make a little more progress before. They want to buy themselves some time because maybe they were close to solving something that they weren't quite there, but they thought they could get to this thing that they were trying to solve, which would make a great demonstration. I'm starting to believe that is the case. That is why they moved it to the end of September, but I don't think it has to do with Optimus. Stick with me here. Next thing that we saw was the last quarterly earnings call. Now, if you looked at the report, this was the very first time we saw the Robo taxi within the product specification they had. So in other words, they had Model S, Model X, Model Y, and in it they have Robo taxi and Cybertruck. It was the first time we saw that. Curious, isn't it? Okay, now I take you to where we currently are right now. Tesla has unveiled FSD Beta 10.69. Not only is this very obvious, clear, amazing update that is handling Chuck Cook's unprotected left-hand turn as if it was never an issue to begin with, not only are we seeing less and less jitter, not only are we seeing people go through entire FSD Beta drives with zero interventions, zero phantom braking, but it's just so obvious. I think to quote Omar, the theme of the way he would label this version of this update would be smooth and comfortable. And again, he made a funny joke saying no wonder it's called 10.69. So I thought it was pretty funny. But I literally was just listening to that on the flight back to the States. This is a big deal. I believe this release is why Elon actually pushed back the AI day. Because it is of my prediction, my opinion, that during this AI day, I am now convinced that they will be unveiling a Robo taxi. I think they will unveil it to us. Elon has already, and I forgot to mention this, during one of these calls, he mentioned that they expect to be in volume production with the Robo taxis. I think he said 2023, which means they need to be unveiling it now so they can get to production soon. So maybe he said volume production 2024. Either way, to be in volume 2024, they have to start in 2023, right? So everything is just starting to point me towards the fact that this is where they are going. All right. Now, I think obviously that they are going to do stuff with the humanoid. I think, we saw AI Day with the heart of the robotic arms. So clearly they're going to give us an update on that. But I think that's the obvious stuff we know. I think that's the predictable things. But it's been a while since we've had a moment like we did with the semi-truck unveiling where the Roadster came out the back. It's been a while since we've had that. So to me, unveiling a robotaxi would be Elon once again channeling his inner Steve Jobs of one more thing. And I think this might be it. I think this may be something that's actually going to come about. It'll be interesting. It'll actually be interesting to see how they stage everything, right? Do they save the FSD stuff towards the end? Or do they talk about FSD, then go to Optimus, and then they decide to say, oh yeah, one more thing. Or, oh yeah, let's turn all the lights off and here comes something that just rolls out of nowhere. Who knows? Maybe I'm being over optimistic. Maybe this isn't going to happen. But it just seems very odd to me that starting at the very beginning of this year, Elon has been talking a lot about the robotaxi. He was answering questions during the the shareholder meeting. Right? It seems more and more likely that this is happening. And with this latest release, it seems almost without a doubt that there is going to be or that we are going to get to FSD beta better than a human by the end of this year. It seems, and not only that, but can we just take a step back? Let me see if I can pull this up. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. This is very interesting. Let me see if I can share this. Okay, here we go. I just want to show you some Elon tweets. Let me scroll down. Let me see if I can find it here. Okay. Elon tweets way too much. It's hard to find some of these. Okay. He said, all right, I think I might have already lost my train of thought. All right. Okay, here we go. Zooming in. Okay, so here he says, FSD Beta 1069 rolling out. Okay, this build is a big step forward. I think we all agree with that already. 1069.1 probably end of week with wider release. Okay, again, not that big of a deal. Here we go. This is the part that I think is pretty big. 10.69.2, I think he forgot a dot there, in a few weeks should be good enough to provide to all FSD Beta participants. This is wide release. This is what was supposed to happen by the end of the year. And they are essentially going to have it ready now. They are essentially going to have it ready in September. And that's why they're going to be raising the price of FSD. Think about this. All this is converging right at the moment where we're about to have AI Day. So these are my predictions. This is what I think is going to happen. I really think that we're going to see some cool stuff with Optimus. I think we're going to get updates on Dojo. I'm sure we'll see Optimus be able to walk around, right? Do some stuff. Maybe just basic commands. Hey, do this. Hey, do that. Hey, little test that will show the dexterity that they have with the fingers, right? Because that's going to be very interesting. There's a lot of great content out there with this. James Dalma's done a lot of interviews. Dr. Know-It-All, John, he's a great guy, by the way. I met him briefly at the shareholder meeting, but he's got some good videos out there. So there's a lot of good content out there talking about trying to make some predictions about it, right? Is there tendons in the fingers with the actual, all the mechanisms, all the motory right here in the wrist? So there's a lot of interesting things there. I'm sure we'll get a good update, a good demo of it. But I think that product will still be more in the theoretical space. I think that will be essentially very similar to what we saw with Dojo last year, where you get updates on the hardware and the software and what's going on and the progress they're making. I think that's what we'll get with Optimus. But with FSD Beta, with FSD beta, guys, we're about to go into a wider release. We're essentially there. Doesn't mean it's perfect. Doesn't mean that you don't have to pay attention. Obviously, none of that. It's still a beta, right? And it's going to be a while before Tesla feels confident enough to drop the moniker of beta. It's going to be a while before Tesla says, hey, we will take over the insurance if that ever even happens. Well, it'd have to happen with robo-taxis, right? It'll probably be a while. And a while means what? Maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. I don't know. But what we do know is that they are making meaningful progress, and 10.69 has been a major step change. It is beyond clear to me. So I'm going to pause there. I am going to look through these comments here, and see what we got going on, and see. Okay, let's see. Wow, I don't even know if that was English. I just mumbled a lot. I'm just going to start at the top. I'm going to slowly scroll down and see if there's any questions or anything. A lot of nice comments. So let's see. Oh, Pittsburgh. Nice. Oh, Barcelona. Nice. Long Island. Nice. Long Island. Funny story. I actually went to college in Long Island. Let's see. Bacon syrup. Not really sure what that is. From Atlanta. Nice. Thanks for dumbing this down for us non-software peeps. Hey, you know what? It's to be honest, when I listen to people like James Dalma or Andre, I wonder if any of you watch Andre Karpathy's latest YouTube videos. Man, I feel like an idiot when I listen to those. It's like you pick things out and it's like, okay, maybe you understand 65, maybe 75% if we're going to be cocky about what they're saying. But then the rest of it, it's like, okay, what does this word even mean? Let me look this up. Okay, I don't think that's the context he meant. And it's like, it's just, they're just on another level. Honestly, it's so humbling. What do you think about Chicken Genius constant calling out the market is going to tank further? Yeah, that's interesting. Ken, I love Ken. I think Ken's a great guy. I think he's got some things he's going through. You can tell he was on YouTube. He got off YouTube. He's addressed it a lot. I think some of that might be playing into this. But I think with regards to Ken and his predictions, what I think he's kind of missing, he's right. Everything he's putting out there is right, 100%. And again, that is financial advice. So everything Ken says is spot on. However, I think what he's missing a little bit is the fact that the stock market is future looking, right? So because it's future looking, the stock market has kind of already baked in a lot of this monetary tightening, right? This tapering of the amount of money essentially going into the economy, right? We've already kind of baked in a lot of these interest rate hikes. So I think that is something that he might be missing a little bit. It'd be interesting to hear him talk about that. A lot of his videos tend to be under 5 minutes, so I don't know if he would actually touch on that or not. I would love to hear his perspective, but again, either way, I really don't care. I really don't care what happens in the short term because I have my sights for 2025, 2030, and beyond, right? The way I look at Tesla is very much how Ron Barron looks at it, right? Ron Barron is his entire personal investment is essentially in Tesla, from my understanding. But even if it's not, what he has said is that he doesn't think that he or his family will ever sell Tesla, right? And with Tesla, that means that it's a once in a lifetime generational type company investment. And they keep coming out with more and more new products, more things, exciting things. They have all these different events, these different milestones every single year. You don't see this from other companies. The closest thing you've seen this from any company ever was Apple. And frankly, Apple is just every single meeting. It's almost like we all get excited for it just through the nostalgia of what we remember from Steve Jobs. And every time it's just a letdown, right? Every time it's like, okay, hey, yeah, evolutionary product after evolutionary product. Oh, a new size. Oh, a new color. But that's all they are. So anyways, I think Ken's just, I don't know why, tangents when you're tired. I think Ken just might be a little off on some things. But again, who knows? Who cares at the end of the day? Whatever happens this year, next year, 3 years from now, it's not going to matter in 2030. It's not going to matter in 2035. And that's how I look at it. Oh, Ontario, nice. Cambridge, nice. I don't listen to Chicken anymore. I think he's depressed. I I kind of think you're right, but he does seem like he has a nice girlfriend, wife, and she seems to be making him happy. So I hope nothing but the best for Ken. He's honestly just, you can tell he just has such a good heart, and it comes through in all his videos. So I think, look, everybody has their opinions on different things. Some people are going to be right. Some people are going to be wrong. People like me have the benefit of looking at things longer term. So I have a higher probability of being right, and it's less risky to make my predictions. Well, I guess I'm making certain AI day predictions right now, but with regards to investments, right? It's easier for me because I have a long-term horizon view. People who make short-term predictions, it's harder. They're putting themselves out there, so you got to give them credit for that as well, and just have some empathy and understand their point of view. Let's see. Okay. Scrolling down here. Elon reiterated that FSD would still be available this year at Cyber Rodeo. Elon reiterated that FSD would still be available this year at Cyber Rodeo. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't be available. I'm not sure I'm understanding that comment. By Tesla, I agree. Okay, let's see. Scrolling down here. When Tesla doubles, I might trade in my Y for a newer Y. Nice. I'm still waiting for my Cybertruck. That's all I want. I just want the Cybertruck. I'm patiently waiting. What's interesting is Elon hasn't talked about whether or not with FSD beta, the price going up. He mentioned any reservations right now will lock in the price, and you can update over the app as you want, or at any moment, and it takes a minute. But what he didn't address is Cybertruck FSD reservations. And he also didn't talk about the shareholder meeting. At the shareholder meeting, he talked about how the Cybertruck price is going to go up, which I'm glad about. I want it to go up. It bewilders me that some people are upset about this. It's like, okay, would you rather save an extra $10,000, $15,000 on your Cybertruck that you ordered, or would you rather pay that $10,000 or $15,000 and have the entire company benefit an extra $10,000, $15,000 from every Cybertruck they sell? Like, this is a no-brainer, right? It's just a no-brainer. I mean, this is basic math. So, I mean, I guess it depends. If you're not invested at all, then that's a little bit of a different story. But, go get invested. Not financial advice, just my own thoughts. Okay, let's see. Q2 earnings. Yep. Okay, I'm hoping to even get an X Plaid one day. Hey, that's good. I hope you get that as well. Scrolling down. Optimus will be the driver. I hope that's not the case. Have you found voice commands yet in your Y? Voice commands. Yeah, absolutely. I think I understand what you're saying, Amy. You're essentially saying, when I say, take me to, Starbucks, or, things like that, or, open butthole to open up the charger. I don't know if you guys knew that, but if you say open butthole, it'll open up the charging port. It's pretty funny. But yeah, so the commands are nice. I will say though, it does seem like Tesla's voice recognition is better than Siri. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but it's not as good as Amazon's Alexa, but it's definitely better than Siri. Siri is just not good to me. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me, but the one thing that would make Tesla's better, and this isn't as far as like speech recognition or anything like that, it's there just seems to be a little bit of a lag, for me at least. I wish we could cut down that lag between the command and what happens, but I mean, that's nitpicking at this point. All right. Will these lingering macro issues ultimately keep Tesla from reaching the price potential we know it's capable of, or will these issues just cause a delay? I think it's just a delay. It's just noise. Look at today. Why did the market go down today? It's very obvious. It has nothing to do with Tesla. It has nothing to do with the market, actually. It's just fear. It's just algorithms, fear, people trying to Trade, get ahead of Jerome Powell's comment at Jackson Hole on Friday. That's all it is. It's honestly just BS. It's nothing. All right, this is all noise. It's not anything that's going to substantiate. Tesla's still making a record number of vehicles. They still have record margins. They are making meaningful progress with the FSD beta, as we have all seen. They have AI Day. They have the stock split. They have investor grade. They're going to have their best quarter ever in Q3, followed by their best quarter ever in Q4. They have new Gigafactory announcements. You have this Twitter overhang that will be over soon. I mean, you could go on and on. And this is within the next 5 months. 5 months. That's all that's going to happen in the next 5 months. So the macros are the macros, okay? I don't think it's going to be that impactful in the long term by any means. I don't think it'll be that impactful over the next 5 months. And again, I could be wrong. I don't like making short-term predictions, really, but I think the rest of this year is going to be very bullish. I think it's going to be bullish not just for Tesla, but for the economy. I think inflation has peaked, knock on wood. I think inflation has peaked. I think we're going to start seeing things come down. Oil's coming down. Hopefully we can see, I mean, just seriously, I wish we could just see this Ukraine-Russia thing just end, right? I wish we could just get to even a truce, a ceasefire, something. Like just stop it, right? This is just obnoxious at this point. It's 2022, and we're having wars like this. It's nonsense. I'm gonna get I'm gonna get a little deep here. Deep. I don't know if it's deep. I'm tired. Sorry, but I was having a lot of conversations with a family over last 2 weeks. I was in Spain, and just the thought. If you ever just think about it, you have all these people in the world, billions of people in the world, yet you have a small few, a couple hundred here, a couple hundred there in each country, that decide to do all these things, whether it's war, whether it's trade agreements, things of that nature. And then all of us, the rest of us, the billions, have to deal with all the consequences that these few make. It's kind of crazy if you think about it, right? It's like a few hundred are dictating what happens to the billions. It's just kind of crazy. And in the meantime, all that the billions really want to do is be able to hang out with their family, find love, be healthy, have some good food. If you drink, have a good drink. If you like to do other stuff, you can do other stuff. You want to be peaceful. You want to enjoy a good vacation here or there. You want to have meaningful work in your life. You want to be able to have a family. You want to travel. I mean, it's really all we want to do, right? It's not that complicated, right? But meanwhile, these few hundred influence everything, and we just deal in our everyday lives with the ripple effects. It's kind of wild when you really take a step back and think about it. But anyways, I could go on with that for a while. It's just, and that's when you really start to think, oh, maybe we are in a simulation. Channeling my inner Elon there. Let's see. I found the emissions test. I don't know what that one is. That's it. Is that a voice command, or is that like a joke within FSD? I don't know about, if that's an Easter egg. I don't know about that one, Scott. Okay. If you can say more about that, I'd be curious to hear about it. Okay, let's see. 15,000 for FSD in September. Tesla nearly doubled the cost for FSD in 2.5 years. Yet, I would argue they 10x the performance of it. So I think that's excellent. I think it's very bullish what they're doing there. And honestly, I think part of this increase in the price, as far as buying it outright, is mainly to push people towards the subscription. I don't think they actually want people to buy it outright. I think they want more and more people to sign up for the subscription. And I think at this point that would make the most sense. Let's see. Dude, it's a hiring thing. He said Tesla bought prototype. Yes, it's always a hiring. It's always a recruiting event. But even at these events, we tend to see some exciting things. I take you back to last AI Day. Last AI Day, it was also a recruiting event. And we talked about Dojo, we talked about FSD. And then guess what? One more thing. Here comes the Humanoid. So, yes, it's a hiring event. Yes, we're going to see the prototype. But I also think we're going to get one more thing. Let's see. Okay. Amy giving some good hints here. Press the right roll button and give a command such as open glove box or turn on wipers or play Bob Dylan. God, Bob Dylan's awesome. I love Bob Dylan. I went through a long phase when I was growing up, mainly in high school. Amy, when I went to Sally at high school, I remember I had a professor named Professor Mantillo. He was the football coach at our high school, and he taught advanced placement calculus 2. And whenever I would do my AP Calc homework, I would always listen to Bob Dylan. Fun fact about me. Let's see, what else we got here? Rio, how's it going, brother? I need some advice. Do you guys think I should sell a little Nikola to buy a few shares of Tesla? I don't know if that's a joke or not. I feel like that's a joke. I think you know by my response there what you should do. Let's see. Robotaxi means the average consumer will never be able to afford full self-driving. Robotaxi means the average consumer will never be able to afford full self-driving. I think I understand what you're saying here, but I would rephrase this. I would say robotaxi means the average consumer will never have to afford a full self-driving. In other words, I think the cost of driving will come down. I mean, you won't even have to buy a vehicle, right? I think about this a lot. It's funny. I was driving so we flew into Miami, and I had to get a rental car to drive back to St. Petersburg. And so this morning I was returning the rental car, and my wife was behind me driving. And when I was driving there's a bus that was right by us, and I proactively decided to like look hard into the bus to see if anyone's actually riding in it. And sure enough, it was packed, a packed bus. And what I was thinking about is, man, imagine just how life-changing it would be for all those people if they never had to go to another bus stop again, if they never had to ride the bus again, if they never had to walk to their location. And I always like try to think about like the scariest, most vulnerable people. So I always like to think of like a nurse, a night nurse on the night shift who, is supporting, say she's a single mom and has 2 kids. And this actually reminds me of a friend of mine that I grew up with, where he had a single mom and she worked at night. And so it's actually very appropriate. But she had a car. She didn't ride the bus. But anyways, I think about her a lot. But imagine that lady, night nurse, 2 kids at home, having to take the bus, having to walk to the bus station at night, get on that bus alone, weather related, if it's raining, all that. Kids at home. I mean, just think about that, right? And being a woman in that situation late at night, just very vulnerable. And it's not even just that you're a woman, but what if something happens to you and you have your 2 kids at home and you're all they have? I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to get like too emotional here, but it's things I think about like that. Like those are the things that something like full self-driving or a robotaxi, the implications, the ripple effects are just endless. Right? I mean, just who knows what could happen. Let's see. What else we got here? Oh, good night, Amy. Let's see. Love that you're in St. Pete, by the way, Steven. Yeah, St. Pete. I absolutely love St. Pete. I think St. Pete is one of the biggest hidden secrets in all of the United States. It's just absolutely a beautiful, beautiful city. I live in downtown. I've been here since 2013. Unless I ever am forced to, I will never leave. Okay, good. Rio's clarifying that he's joking. He said he's all in on Tesla. I wouldn't touch Nikola if it was the last stock on the market. All right. Hey, you know what? I don't want to make any presumptions. You never know. So there's a lot of people who just try to, make some, big one move kind of lottery ticket investment. So, I never want to make any assumptions, but I'm glad that we're at least aligned. Let's see. What else we got here? Hola, tío. Let's see. Need to find a state with friendly regulator to approval limited trial of robotaxi of level 4. Also convinced NHTSA. Okay, that's what Florida is. 100%. There's several states actually. Chicken Genius is out of his mind these days. It's that new girl. Hey, you know what? As long as he's happy, that's all I care about. And yeah, I'll leave it at that before I get myself in trouble. which I thought it was awesome during the shareholder meeting. You had all the questions from investors, and there's a question about China and U.S. and the tension there, and what Elon thinks of all that, and everybody in the crowd. I don't know if you guys could hear it on the live stream, but we're all saying skip it, just yelling skip the question. It's not worth it. And finally Elon did decide to skip it, so I was happy he did that. Okay, so I am clearly not literate because I see hi from Montreal, and when I first read that hi from Montreal, I read monorail. So 1, I'm not literate. 2, hello, glad you could hop on. But that also makes me think, golly, where's Gally at? We need to see a monorail test with 10.69. We need to see a monorail test. I don't know if he got it yet. He seems like he's been traveling a lot, so I don't know if he's home or not, but we need a monorail test. We need to see what's going on with that. Let's see. I'm scrolling down a little faster now because I'm hanging on by a thread before I pass out here. Let's see. Hey, Sean. Appreciate the kind words. Texas is a great state to start road taxis. Yeah, I agree. Let's see. What do you think about the 15,000 FSD price? I think the higher the FSD goes, the better. I think the more likely it is that we're going to get to complete, and it shows their bullishness on it. So I think you want to see that go up. You want to see it go higher and higher. You want to see it to go so high to the point where nobody's going to buy it and they're only going to subscribe. That's, to me, it's just very obvious that's what's going to happen. There's no software company at this point that is not a subscription service or trying to move to a subscription service. It makes the most sense. It's just the way everything's going to be moving forward. Again, just being in the space, like it's just very obvious. But what Tesla's doing is very smart, the way they're doing it, because they give people this optionality, but this optionality won't last long. And I think that's the big part that I don't think a lot of people are understanding, is that there's going to be a certain point where you're not going to be able to just buy it outright, and you're going to have to subscribe. And when you subscribe, it's going to cost even more in the long run than if you just bought it outright. So if you think 15,000 is a lot, it's not. All right, you over the course of 7 or 8 years, you probably pay more than that for your insurance. So if you just do the math, it's really not that much. Let's see, do you know where you are in the Cybertruck number? So I don't know, Amy. I don't know where I'm at. I have my reservation number and everything, but I think I accidentally deleted the email for it. Or actually, I don't think I deleted it. I think I have my inbox set to phase out emails after a certain amount of years. And I think it accidentally got phased out, right? So it got deprecated or cleaned up itself to save storage. And so I don't have the actual email. So I can't figure out the date and time I placed the order so that I can use the unofficial Cybertruck tracker. So it's a little annoying. I have my number, but I can't get a good sense of where I'm at. Hopefully I'm near one of the first ones, but there's so many people that put in the reservations like within seconds of it coming open that I'm probably gonna have to wait till 2024, maybe 2025, but it's all right. It's all worth it to me. Let's see. Ontario has nickel and cobalt and the best highways. You know what else? Canada has very low inflation. I was pretty surprised. I'm curious to see if you guys resonate with that or not. But what I was seeing was that Canada only has about 2% inflation, which is kind of awesome. Let's see. I have a Cybertruck order as well. Elon also said FSD monthly price would not go up until wide release. That looks like it will be really soon. Agreed. Hoping to accumulate more shares. Let's see. Do you think Tesla may go into electric aviation? I do not. I do not think they will go into electric aviation at all. I think the closest thing we'll see to that will come from SpaceX. It doesn't really make sense for Tesla to get into it, I don't think, because you have Tesla, Elon has SpaceX. So if anything, I would see it happen there. And I could see SpaceX doing it. So it's interesting. Again, this is just basic physics and math. If you go up, essentially the higher up you go, you can travel faster, or you can cover more distance by going up and then down rather than trying to go around the circumference of the earth. So Elon's talked about that a little bit. The challenges he mentioned was that it would be very loud. But I think anything that'd be more of an organic move for SpaceX than it would be for Tesla. And in general, I don't see eVTOLs being the future. I think they'll be cool. Maybe they'll be one-offs. Maybe I'm sure they'll exist, right? Just like helicopters exist right now, but I don't think that it's going to be a very common mode of transportation. Happy to be wrong, though. Happy to be wrong. Let's see. Will we have a pre-split rally before Thursday? Ooh, I don't know. If it happens, I think it'll be tomorrow. Well, obviously it'll be tomorrow. I think it'd be tomorrow. Tomorrow would be the day we see the biggest move, I think, if it happens. I don't know. It's just tough with everybody on pins and needles for the Fed meeting for the Fed statements at Jackson Hole, which again I think is just absolutely silly. Why do I think it's silly? Because essentially, again, the stock market is future predictor. We already probably know everything that Jerome Powell's going to say. He's probably going to say more of the same things, right? If anything, when we saw the Fed minutes and we know what he said there. Well, if anything, he arguably has more reason to be dovish right now after what he just saw with CPI for the month of July. Odds are September. I think we have August CPI numbers come out about 10 days before the Fed meeting in September. I'm sure that they're going to be good, good. They'll be better than what they were a year ago. I think we'll be in the right trajectory. And so, Jerome has to be careful too. Jerome has to be careful that he doesn't overcorrect, right? He was behind. Now it seems like he's on track. Seems like he's got things kind of under control finally. Seems like he can take a breath and he can think and be data dependent, which he said he will be. But I think all that is what's going to potentially hold it back from rallying before the stock split. But here's something else to think about. And I was thinking about this today. Oh, we're going to get comfortable here. So normally we see before stock split, we see this rally, right? We saw it with Amazon, we saw it with Google, we saw it with Tesla back in 2020. All right. So we see these rallies. But what I'm noticing is that, and I'm sure you're noticing, that we haven't rallied really at all with Tesla into the stock split. So now we have rallied, right, over the last few months, but still has the whole market. It's not like Tesla has crazy outperformed NASDAQ or anything. So we haven't seen that pre-split rally. Perhaps that's a good sign, because perhaps that means the rally will be a post-split rally. Perhaps that is when people get back in. Perhaps Jerome Powell, Jackson Hole, that is keeping people on the sideline until we see what they say, make sure that there's nothing in the narrative that changes or that just comes out of left field. And then next week, we run a little bit. I think there's a good chance of that. So we'll see. Let's see. How worried are you about geopolitical tensions between the U.S. and its allies versus China, and how that might impact Tesla? I'm not worried about it at all, to be honest. Mainly because there's nothing you can do about it, and two, I'd be more concerned that we do something stupid than other people. Russia is, they're dealing with their own crap right now. China, that's not the way they engage in warfare, if you will, right? They do it through economical ways, through the economy, through investing, through putting people where they want to put them. We're the ones that use a blunt force instrument with our military, and And I'm a very patriotic person, but that is the reality. That's what we do. So yeah. So I'm not too worried about it. Let's see. Scrolling down here. I think FSD price and monthly price will rise to extreme levels, and what will become common is when you put in your route, you're able to pay for the drive, and it will be cheaper. It will be, wow, sorry, I can't read it. It will be a cheaper robo taxi since it's your car. I agree with this. 100% agree with this. I can see this happening. So take public cloud, for example. All right. Hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about when I say public cloud. So Azure, GCP, AWS. So they have this model. It's a consumption-based model, right? So it's a subscription, but you essentially pay for what you use. It's very much like your house, okay? You have electricity, you have running water, right? Nobody's telling you, hey, how much water are you going to use over the next 5 years? Buy it now. No, you pay for what you use. You pay for it when you need it. Same with your electricity. You turn the light on, you're paying, right? You're going. You turn it off, the meter stops, right? So I think I agree with you. I think that's how it'll end up in the long run, is that you pay based on your trips. Again, like Uber, right? You pay based on your trips, based on your destination. That's what you get charged for. So I think the whole idea of like buying it outright or having these monthly subscriptions, I think all of that eventually goes away. It's honestly, it's so baffling to me that companies like Netflix and HBO Go and Disney Plus haven't figured this part out yet. Why don't they just do that? Even news media, right? If there's like, you always see these articles that you want to read, but they're hidden behind a firewall or a paywall, a paywall, and they want you to sign up or subscribe, whatever. It's like, if you guys would, Elon's talking about this actually. If you guys would just make it so it's like 5 cents, I would pay for that every time. Every time I want to see something, I'd pay for the 5 cents. I don't know why they don't do that. But I think that's the way that I agree with you, Michael. I think that's the way it'll go with FSD beta in the long run. Let's see. Good recommendations. Okay. Having a private chauffeur would cost $60,000 a year. FSD will only cost about $1,500 a year. Well said, Rio. Well said. Do you guys think Optimus would make a good PR rep? Eric, that's funny. That's pretty good. Let's see. Robotaxi need to have reversing capabilities. So it actually, I think it does need to have reversing capabilities. FSD beta supposedly can reverse. I've only seen it reverse 2 or 3 times. It's not a lot. It's just a little bit. But yes, I think, let's talk about that real quick, actually. I think with FSD beta, the things we still need to solve: U-turns. We need to get better with reverse. We need to master parking lots, which I don't think that'll take them too long. What else? I used to have a list of things. Chuck's Cook turn was on that. That's been solved, in my opinion. The monorail test with the Golly, that's on that list. Railroad tracks, getting better with that. Not just recognizing it, right? Visualizing it. FSD beta clearly recognizes railroad tracks, but I think that we need to visualize it on the screen just to give people better confidence. What else? I think we need a little more work with emergency vehicles. Yeah, I mean, we're getting there. We're so close from my point of view. I don't think there's much more to do, to be honest. I think a lot of these things are kind of low-hanging fruit. I think they're things that, I mean, they solved Chuck Cook's turn in a matter of weeks. Just imagine when they decide, okay, we're going to solve U-turns. Okay, we're going to solve parking lots. Like, just think about it. Like, it's not going to take them long. Like, this is why I'm so convinced they're so close. And keep in mind, Chuck's Cook turn is a harder problem than everything we just talked about. Harder than all of it. So, it just seems clear. It just seems very clear to me. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay, well, this seems like a rant. Let's see. Regarding FSD at 15,000, even if it drives itself, it's not worth it yet. The infrastructure in our society does not allow me to handle any task 100% autonomously. Say I want to pick up a to-go lunch, a package from post office, or a gift from the mall. Even if my Tesla can drive there independently, there's no. Sorry if I'm reading weird. It's just really small. There's no one there on the other end to serve my needs. At the moment, it can only ease my pain by driving itself, but still it requires me paying attention and monitor it. Sorry, it's not enough for me to give up 15,000 hard-earned cash. It's promising, but not yet practical. Our society, the overall ecosystem, infrastructure have to catch up, unfortunately. So I agree with what you're saying, but here's where I believe you're wrong. Okay, first of all, regarding the infrastructure lags. It always lags. Cities get crowded, then you build out the infrastructure, right? With regards to this, we will have robo-taxis happening before and doing everything before we have the infrastructure built out, right? It's not really a chicken or egg kind of situation. It's very much we need the demand to be there before we supply the needs, or we supply with the needs, or create the infrastructure to supply the needs. So the demand's there, right? It's very obvious the demand's there. The technology maybe it's not quite there yet, but it's essentially almost there. Maybe, to me, in my opinion, at most another year, at most. And that would be for like a robo-taxi. I think full self-driving is going to get there way before a year. But I also push back. You say that, okay, even if the vehicle takes you from point A to point B autonomously, there's no one on the other end. I disagree. We've been living in this COVID world, post-COVID world for quite some time now. And, there's pickups everywhere. You can go to the grocery store without ever getting out of your car. You could easily send your Tesla there, and it could be recognized by the license plate number, and your groceries get put into the trunk, and your trunk or your frunk, and your Tesla comes back to your house. That infrastructure exists already. So I push back with that, and it doesn't take much. Companies adapt a lot faster than you may think. And again, we adapted for that just for the pandemic. So yeah, I don't know. And as far as it not being worth 15,000, like, fair enough. I mean, everybody has their own opinion, but there are people paying for it. So clearly it is worth it to some people. Now, if you don't want it, like, I get that, right? I mean, yeah, 15,000 is a lot of money. It's not nothing. But I think the real thing you're paying for there is the appreciation you're going to get. The thought that today it costs 15,000, a year from now, maybe it's 100,000. And I want to lock in today's price. So many ways to look at it. But yeah, I respect your opinion. If it's not valuable for you, then you shouldn't buy it. Like, absolutely not. All right. Let's see. FSD has to do better with speed bumps. Yep, I agree. It was doing well for a while. But I still haven't seen any speed bump tests at all with 10.69 yet. So it'll be interesting to see one of those. All right, Steven. I'll see you around St. Pete. If you see me, feel free to say hi. You'll pretty much always see me walking around downtown St. Pete. I live closer to the Edge District. But yeah, so I'm always down here. How much progress do you think Tesla may have made with Smart Summon when it comes to FSD? I haven't heard much about it. I don't think they've focused on it at all, to be honest. I think they're just focusing on the actual problem, which is getting city streets done. I think that they would be able to solve, or if they focus their attention on parking lots, things of that nature, I think they would be able to solve that in weeks, a couple months. I don't think it would take them that long. Let's see. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to end it here, everybody. Like I said, I'm still very jet lagged. I'm exhausted. I appreciate everybody who jumped on. Again, like I said, I really think that we're going to see Robotaxi during the AI Day Part 2. I think it'll be one more thing. We'll see if I'm right. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I'm horrible at mentioning these things. Like the video if you guys don't mind, just to get more traction out there. These live streams are harder to get out there or get more eyes on it because they are longer videos, but it helps the algorithm and however that works. So appreciate all of you. Again, I'm going to go crash now after all the traveling I've been doing. I'm exhausted, but I appreciate everybody who jumped on, and especially with this very last minute live stream I decided to throw up here. Again, appreciate all of you guys. Let's hope for rally tomorrow, next day into the close or into the stock split. Wow, I'm losing it. And then, yeah, we'll see what happens with AI Day, and let's see more of these FSD Beta 10.69 videos. I'm very bullish on it. I think it's very promising. This was not a small update. The world doesn't know about this yet. The world is lagging on it. They will find out soon, and it always takes time for these things to ripple through. But we're going to start seeing this. You're going to start seeing this ripple through, and I think we'll really the world will start to understand what's happening. Maybe at the end of September, but towards the end of the year, I think they'll really start to understand. All right. I love you all. I got 69 likes here. I'll end it there. I love you all. Talk to you later. Bye. Good night.